John, big story in the NFL this week is schedule release. The schedule comes out on Thursday for the NFL, 5 o'clock Pacific. The teams release all of theirs. There's a big show. We'll obviously you can have our show. And there's going to be some lead up to it as well. From what I understand, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, each of the three networks, ESPN, ABC, ESPN, I guess there's 4 networks, NBC, Fox, CBS. So I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but each one is going to reveal one big game on each day. So maybe it includes Thursday. One of them reveals a game Thursday morning or something.
I like on the day of the schedule release. If the schedule release is at 5 Eastern or 6 Eastern, whatever it is, all the teams love giving their beat reporters, like throwing them a bone. And every beat reporter throughout the league will be like, sources, Eagles football team, December 27th. It'll just be random games like Jags, Titans, October 17th. But it's usually just some random games.
Yes.
It's like Vikings, Seattle, September 10th. You're like, whoa, opener.
Yep. Hope we're not coming back from the East Coast for that game.
And then there's always the one guy like, I've taken every single beat writer's report here so far, the schedule, the entire league of what I have so far.
So what we thought we would do, and we talked about it the other day, just casually in passing, and then we thought, we should really talk, but kind of break this down, is look at the Niners schedule and figure out what would be ideal for Trey Lance. Trying to think about what would be the best thing for a quote-unquote rookie, but for a second year, a first-time starting quarterback, and Trey Lance is one. So if you're watching, what we have here is all their non-divisional games. We obviously know their divisional games.
We actually know one of the games, right?
Right.
It's the one in Mexico.
That's the Cardinals game, and it's going to be on November 21st. Okay. So that game we know. They're going to go to Estadio Azteca. So, here's an example as we look through, and here are I'm just going to rattle through for those of you listening, their non-divisional games. Commanders, Falcons, Panthers, Broncos, Raiders, Saints, Bucks, Chiefs, Chargers, Bears, Dolphins. 6 of them are at home, 5 of them on the road. The home games are Commanders, Saints, Bucks, Chiefs, Chargers, Dolphins. So road games, Falcons, Panthers, Broncos, Raiders, Bears.
That Bucks Santa Clara game going to be a pretty big one, don't you think?
I do, which I've got a few notes. I think if we're thinking about Trey Lance as we think through this, I think it'd be better if that game were not early. Because I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on that game. And maybe if it's after he's made 8 starts, he won't feel it quite as much and he'll be a little more comfortable. So that's one of my early takes. I think it'd be better for him if the Bucks game is not early in the season.
Agreed. I would say of the games that we see right there, I would say the Bears on the road opening up would be a relatively easy game. Their defense stinks. They got rid of good players, coaching turnover. Their offense doesn't have much, and it's not too far of a travel. Before, over the years, right, they've opened up in Detroit. They've opened up in Tampa. I don't love a 10 a.m. East Coast kickoff first real start.
So you would not want
team. I'd rather play at home.
You would not want Atlanta week 1, even though Atlanta could be worse than Chicago.
Yeah, don't hate that one. That would be the one I would choose, probably. But even then, I would like to week 2.
Yeah, you could argue.
I think if you could choose, you'd want to open at home.
Atlanta, younger corners. Niners, in theory, potentially younger corners. Atlanta, potentially good talent at receiver, but I don't think their roster is very good. Okay, so you would want to be at home.
To me, this is pretty simple for me. I would take one of 2 teams at home, and it would be Seattle or it'd be Arizona. It can't be LA because we know LA is opening the season for the league on Thursday night. So to me, I would choose a Sunday 1 o'clock or 1:05 kickoff against the Seattle Seahawks or the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, he's played against the Arizona Cardinals and he's played a half against Pete Carroll and a lot of those guys that are still on the defense. But part of it is not just he's played against those teams. The 3 teams that he's seen the most of, just sitting down with Jimmy Garoppolo and last year was Scangarello and Kyle, is just those 3 teams in his division, right? They just play 6 games against the division. You watch a lot of cross tape. So you would say he by far would be the most just feel comfortable watching those teams on film. And he literally had to start against, I mean, a lot of those guys that he played against the Cardinals, Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker, I guess Chandler's gone, but Watt, those guys are going to be back, right? Byron Murphy's their corner. Like, he's just, the names, like, you just throw out in the scouting report, like, he said those names, and then he literally played against them. To me, that would be the number one pick, even though you would argue that Kyler Murray is the scariest. Like, Kyler Murray's the MVP of the NFL like the last 2 years in September. Doesn't it? It's like, oh, Kyler, he's on the MVP path. And we've seen it against the Niners. He beat him, was it last year or 2 years ago? He beat him both times.
Well, he beat them. The Niners lost the Cardinals twice last year.
Yeah, I was talking week 1. I guess it was 2 years ago. Remember, they opened up against the Cardinals at home and lost the year that they went 6-10. But that was before they got a bunch of injuries.
So I would rather play Seattle week 1 than Arizona, because I think Arizona is going to be better than Seattle next year. And you play Arizona. You could apply this to both teams, because you don't want to lose that home game.
Arizona's better for sure. I'd agree there.
Well, and so part of it is not only they could beat you, but because Arizona's better, the games you play against them might turn out to matter more later. And I don't want Trey playing, because obviously the second time around is going to be not at home. It's going to be in Mexico. I don't want the second time around to be, a must-win situation if I can avoid it. Now, going to Seattle's tough too, but he's been there, right? And again, that team's not as good. So
to me, wouldn't you want the Seattle game in November, December, when they're shitty and the 12s are just over it?
The second game, the road game,
You would just say week 1, Seattle, you might just get a really good effort from the crowd. Usually, if you have a team that's competing to be a top 5 draft pick, you could argue by Halloween, but definitely by like late November, December, it's not the same.
I agree. I'm saying I want the home game week 1.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I also think with Arizona, you do want to play them. Like, you have specific times you'd want to play them. You'd want to play them.
But I guess what I'm saying on the Seattle thing, if you could pick a date when you could put that Seattle game, you would put that in December.
The road one. Agreed? Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I also think you want to play Arizona in the first 6 weeks if you could. We already know you're going to play them once late November, which is perfect. They're usually collapsing by then.
Yeah.
Play them once without DeAndre Hopkins early on. What about, would you want to play Denver the week before you play the Cardinals on Monday Night Football? Elevation sensation. Get your bodies right. Mile high.
Do one of those where you just stay out there too.
Do you want to soak it in? Out there? Yep.
What if I pivoted here? Once the season goes, I don't think it matters, right? Once you get to like October, you're playing all these good teams regardless. Do you want to get one of the sweet teams out of the way and maybe you catch them, still move, like Kansas City, some new parts, Denver, a lot going on, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot going on. The Chargers, huge pressure. Get them at home. Is that where the Charger game? Yeah, get them at home. Everyone's like, oh, there's a Super Bowl team. Then all of a sudden you beat them and everyone's like, oh, out on the Chargers. Then all of a sudden they play a short week because remember they announced at the draft, like Chargers Chiefs I guess it's not week 1, it'd be week 2, but it's the first game for Bezos and Amazon and Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit playing in 4 days, and all of a sudden, like, oh, they better beat the Chiefs. They'll be 0-2. So you just you don't catch them. You can't catch anyone sleeping. That's why you could argue it doesn't really matter week 1 because we see weird shit happen. So it's like, yeah, you can play the Falcons, but that might be the best game they play all season, or just they believe. Then all of a sudden you're 1-5 and the season's over. But, to me, the key is a home game. I think that is the key. Just start at home, ease into it. You could argue the opponent. I mean, clearly there are teams on paper that are better. But you see, I remember the Jags 2 years ago beat Phillip Rivers. Now, granted, the Jags have beat the Colts, 8 straight years. But you just see the Patriots last year lost to the Dolphins week 1. Week 1, I don't know.
You could argue you'd rather play a good team week 1.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of convincing. Let's just take the fucking Chiefs or the Chargers. Because there is some pressure on them knowing that they got to play in 4 days.
Well, the other thing is, if you're going to play a really talented team, right? What's the Niners' best asset on offense?
And the Chargers.
What's that?
I was like, you might just want. I don't know if I want Mahomes or Herbert week 1.
I wouldn't want Mahomes. I'd be more inclined to play the Chargers. The Niners' best asset offensively is their head coach's game planning and play calling ability. So if you're going to play a team with a better quarterback, the more time you have to prepare, I think I think the preparation time is advantageous for the less good team, right?
Agreed.
Or at least the best can just step out there and freestyle. If it's we got a rap battle going on and you only had 10 minutes notice, that benefits the more talented rapper. If you have 5 hours notice, I think that benefits the less talented rapper.
One disadvantage on some of these teams would be they have new coaches or new personnel.
Yeah.
Calling plays, like Raiders, all new. Broncos, all new. Bears, all new. Dolphins, all new. So even the Saints.
Bucks did make a coaching change.
Yeah, same with the Bucks and the Saints. I mean, different head coaches. So would you rather get those guys
kind of similar?
Would you rather catch those guys 3 or 4 weeks into the season when you have some tape and just take your chances, like with the Falcons who have everyone coming back, or the Commanders that have everyone coming back, or the Bears, the Chargers or the Chiefs that just have the same coaching staff?
Yeah, I think
the Chargers have much better players. That's Bosa, Mac.
The more we talk about this, the more Seattle at home feels like a great way to start the year. But the Niners, to your point, have in recent years at least started the years with weird games.
I wouldn't be opposed to Arizona either, and just take your chances with Kyler.
It feels like being like football team, like Washington football team week 1, something like that.
I think they'd be fine with that too. Don't you think? Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a solid, competent defense, but you can't go around hoping your schedule's filled with incompetent teams.
In theory, they should be competent on defense. I think they've kind of underwhelmed. Del Rio's tweeting it back and forth with fans. Saw that yesterday.
And that's a bad thing?
No, but I just this one fan was just like, "Can we just start tackling people this year?" And I think Del Rio quoted the tweet. He's like, "That's the goal with the new guys."